that changed. So, which creates the need for us to change our calendar for the 24-25 school year. So Kasich moving forward will have spring break the last full week of March. Um, so essentially what that does for us is it moves our spring break up a week. Um, Also, in this area, we have iRead, and we also know that iLearn is going to change. We're not exactly sure how that's going to look. We know we have a little bit of flexibility on when we can administer that. So we feel like that going from the past practice of having the 4 days before spring break as makeup days, we're just a little concerned about doing that for fear that it might cut off some of the windows for our state assessments. So we are, well, essentially what we're doing, there's not been a whole lot of change to this calendar, with the exception of I added a flex day in the 14th of February. President's Day is also a flex day, so there could be a potential 4-day weekend in February. And then if we have no snow days, then we would have the Thursday before spring break, and then the Monday after spring break. That would be extensions to spring break potentially. And then with this particular calendar, we would end school on the 29th. Teacher Day would be on the 30th, graduation on the 7th. We like to give some time for everything to get together for graduation. It would be way too quick to try to do that on the 31st when we've got the counselors trying to get everything ready to go. So, any questions regarding this?
When's it gonna be finalized, or is that finalized?
No, you would. It's on the agenda for tonight
Okay.
for this revised calendar, and then I also put in a proposed calendar for 25-26. That's very similar to this that we would vote on later.
Do you know what Tri Central's doing?
I know that they are the same week as far as spring break, and I know they take the Friday after off. So it's very similar to Tri Central.
They're moving it to this week.
Yeah. Everybody had to with Kasich. It's a situation where the home school kind of dictates the calendar, and so if we continue to do it as we have it planned, then our students would be without services.
Oh, that's great. No, I'm 100% on board. I just wondered if, because Western sort of dictates it with the Kokomo, right?
Right.
And I never remember their initials, but anyway.
Okay, Kasich.
I just wondered if anybody else had already.
Yes, everybody else has moved their spring break to the last full week in March. Any questions about that? And then if you want to take a look at the 25-26, and again, this is something that does not need to be decided tonight. This would be the 25-26. There's an option one that has one option that has a week-long fall break, and then there's another option that has the spring or the fall break like we currently do with 3 days, and then starting on a teacher work day on a Thursday, first day on a Friday, which our teachers really like. So, and honestly, it's pretty awesome for a dry run for us with transportation and everything else. Because if we have any big messes, we could get them fixed by Monday. So, anyway. So, you guys are welcome to take a look at that conversation, anything along those lines. And any questions about probably the more urgent, the 24, 25? Any questions about that?
Ryan, mine isn't really a question, but I know that I had emailed the board about this, and wondering about trying to take those last few days after Memorial Day and try to make it so that our students,
Yeah.
feedback that I was receiving from families was, can we try to figure out a way to not return to school after Memorial Day? And if you could comment about why it makes more sense to incorporate those days
Yeah,
as it is.
we really like to try to make the days up before our standardized testing. Again, we don't want to make it ever sound like that's everything and anything that we do. It's not, but it is important. If we have to make the days up, if we can make them up before students have to take an iLearn or an iRead, that really does benefit our kids. And again, if they were made up, say after a Memorial Day, that really wouldn't have that same impact. Okay.
I was just gonna say, are you gonna discuss the 25-26 calendar?
It is essentially the same as the.
No, I know you did, but I was gonna make a comment
Oh,
about that.
yes,
Don't mind.
please. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just
sure.
was gonna say, of the two, I like the revision better, and I think I sent this to the board just simply because I like starting on a Friday rather than starting in the middle of the week. I mean, a long fall break is always nice, but we do have several breaks in the fall, so I think starting on a Friday, so then we can use the days leading up to that for just activities that the school has to get the kids, new students and new buildings prepared for.
And I'm in agreement with that. I always feel like that you're wasting great weather in October. I
wasn't gonna say that,
but I mean, and I understand that some people probably would love to have that full week, but I think that 3 days is adequate. Okay. All right, Mr. Jaworski, I will relinquish the screen.
I appreciate that. All right. So again, make sure I do this properly. There we go. And we'll do this. All right, there we go. I just have a little proposal to put before you guys today. Obviously nothing that you're voting on right now, and really just an opportunity to put it out there, make sure that you guys have an opportunity to kind of think it over, ask questions, and provide me a little bit of time to get some of the answers to those questions that you might have. So again, TCSC, we're looking to propose an early release. Again, administration proposed that we move to an early release model, which would be every Wednesday of the school year. Again, with that, the purpose behind it would be to provide certified teachers dedicated time weekly to collaborate in teams, develop systems of supports for students, and fully engaged in continuous cycle improvement. We currently operate as a professional learning community. You guys have heard me talk about this enough. We really value our teachers' time to collaborate and work towards the goals that we set as building leadership teams. As a district, we have these goals. They don't just happen by mistake. They happen with intention. They happen with purpose. And providing our teachers dedicated time to do that is a critical piece of that. It's not obviously unprecedented for this to be a thing. I know that Tipton Community Schools attempted this in the past with, I think it was a late start. Again, prior to my time here, a lot of other school districts across the state, including in our area, participate in some sort of early release. Eastern, again, you can kind of see here their teacher contract days. When they meet before school, 30 minutes daily. Doesn't really impact their student day at all. Western, for example, has 30 minutes before school on Wednesdays. And again, consistency was important for the parents in that one. Again, Taylor's before school as well. Tri Central is the only one that doesn't have something like this. And like I said, we tried, I believe, the before school approach before, and from my understanding is that that didn't quite work well with our community. So we're coming back to you with the idea that logistically, be each Wednesday, students will be released about 2:30 instead of 3 o'clock as they are now. Bus to be dismissed around 2:40. So it works really similar. That would give our teachers a little bit of time to go from supervision to their professional learning community meeting from 2:45 to 3:30. Other logistics, again, supervision. Obviously, we know that there are going to be some students who don't all get on the bus or don't all get picked up to go home right away. Some of them have after school activities, clubs, sports. And so supervision for those students would, again, be potentially provided by some of our aides. Again, they're still under contract for that time. So our aides don't necessarily participate in professional learning communities like our certified staff do. So we do have some staff available to facilitate some of that supervision. How that time would be used, again, each building staff would meet in their assigned collaborative teams, address that curriculum, instruction, assessment, student data, and intervention practices. Again, it's something that is currently happening, but it does come at a bit of a cost to our staff. Again, some stakeholder feedback we've gotten thus far. I'll say from our high school was fairly vocal in expressing their interest in this. It would provide, most importantly, some flexibility in the master schedule. I know that Carrie Capshaw does an amazing job with scheduling in our high school. And she has come to us and saying, if you want to have teachers have that collective time together in departments, makes it a whole lot easier when it's not trying to get all of them together into a single prep period in the day. It's really challenging given the amount of offerings that we have. So again, in order for us to provide that for our teachers, a really convenient solution would be to have it outside of the teacher-student supervision time. Middle school, their schedule is effective as it is. Quite honestly, they've done a really terrific job the last couple of years putting together a schedule that provides that embedded time throughout the day where teachers get both prep time and collaboration time. Works wonders in that middle school. Kudos to Melissa kicked on that one as well. I had a conversation with John Ayers today about that exact topic. And again, he's taking full advantage of that time that they have built in middle school. Elementary would also greatly benefit from this. I know our teachers sacrifice prep time every single week, and that is really precious for our elementary teachers, especially. Again, the amount of materials they have to get prepared for their classes day in and day out, losing that prep time. Again, obviously it's important because they're doing it on a weekly basis. But if there is something we can do to alleviate that and provide them some of that time back to be prepared for their classes during the school day instead of asking for them to do that outside of the school day, would be really beneficial. So did talk to a couple of our community partners. John Hines Career Center got back to me today, actually. Again, they work with other school districts that have this same approach. I think Hamilton Heights is one of them. And they said it's no problem to them, doesn't impact them. The only thing that impacts is that the kids get picked up a half hour earlier than they would on a traditional day. So not too big of an impact for them there. And then the Boys and Girls Club, informally, some of their initial feedback is that it shouldn't be too much of an issue. They did want to have, they have a formal meeting this Friday. They want to have a conversation internally, and then they'll come back with me by Monday to kind of give some more formal feedback there. And I haven't had a chance to connect with Heartland yet. I know we have a handful of students who get some after school care there. So I am planning to reach out to them and see how this plan would impact them. Obviously, some challenges that we face. We're not blind to this. Obviously, if we're having teachers work till 3:30, that's 20 minutes past their contract. What does that look like? We plan to have discussions with the TEA about that. Some after school supervision, like I talked about before. You got clubs, sports, you got children of staff. Again, we need to make sure that we provide some supervision for those kids as well. Bus transportation, there's always jumping through hoops for transportation. Obviously, we need to make sure we work through some of those challenges. We would need to file an additional 1003 waiver. So again, we do that for those 3 professional development days. If we're going to cut back 30 minutes a week, we would have to apply for that as well. I've already communicated with the Department of Education about that. And then obviously there's some unforeseen impacts that this could have with our community that, again, that we haven't anticipated. And that leads to the final slide I have here. And that's kind of what our next steps are going to be. I plan to put together a staff survey just to get some, again, direct feedback from our staff. A lot of the feedback I got from each of the buildings is from the administration. So I want to hear what our staff have to say about this idea. I think I know what they'll say, but again, nice to have that data on hand. Community survey. I want to know what our community feels about this. Obviously, I think that's important to you guys to know as well. Kind of get an idea of how this is going to impact and what are the things that we are not considering. And then obviously, we want to make sure we review and address those questions and concerns as they come up. So, like I said, obviously not asking you to vote on it right now. Just wanted to put the ideas out there, get some of your initial feedback, questions, concerns you have that you'd like me to have addressed before our next board meeting.
Okay, I think we're gonna forego questions for this time, okay? Quick before we come to an end here, does anyone have any questions about the agenda? Okay. Do you wanna go?
Yeah, we can do.
Okay, all right, we will go ahead and take quick comments from the community tonight. We have Ms. Laura Satan.
You turned it off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There you go.
Laura,
Now it's on?
I don't, go ahead and give a statement, but we cannot answer a question
Yeah, I
tonight.
understand. I get it. Okay. But we need an answer as parents about our plan for the day of the eclipse, because I understand that there's schools around here that are canceling that day, or they're coming back from spring break, so they're not in school that day. So if you would like to write it down and get back to parents as to what we're gonna do on that day, April 8th, for that. And thank you, Mr. Jaworski, for the surveys that'll be sent out, because there are a lot of concerns with the shortened school day. We did go through this back several years ago, and it was not a good experience. And I just feel that anything that's going to shorten our kids being in school when we're working so hard to track hours for absenteeism and things like that, I think these kids need to be in school. And when the biggest issue last time with the school days being shortened was the shortened time in class and teachers not being able to have it. So I understand you've talked to administration and things about this, but it'll be really important. So thank you for sending a survey to the staff to get their input on that for a further discussion about it, because there are not a lot of good feelings about it. So it'll be great to have that piece of information. So thank you.
Okay, we will adjourn our work session. Begin our meeting in just a minute.
I'm not sure of the exact number of students that we would bus to other schools that are in Kasich. I know we have 2 routes. I'm just not sure of the number of students. I think it may be around 8 altogether. So typically, if we have a snow day, then we don't go. And oftentimes, if we have a snow day, so do the other K-6 schools, because we kind of try to do things together, and basically for that reason. As far as Hines, they are not in Kasich. They would be part of a different special education co-op. They actually having our spring break in last week in March probably more closely aligns with Hines' schedule than what it did once before, but I would have to check that out for sure. Yeah, we all kind of, I mean, we've been at this so long that we really try to be as close as possible to one another. Yeah. It's on the agenda for.
Okay, next. Okay, next we need to approve our consent agenda items, which will include the approval of the agenda and the minutes from our public work session and regular board meeting, Board of Finance, and executive session on January 9th. The approval of claims from payroll January 19th and payroll February 2nd, and the accounts payable claims from February 13th. The approval of the personnel report, approval of field trips, which includes the boys golf to Vincennes, and the approval to accept donations, but we don't. Okay. All right, I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items.
I move to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I will now read the personnel report. For our certified staff recommendations is Kelsey Mitchell as a temporary second grade teacher at the elementary school. For classified staff, we have the resignations of Nicholas Earls as custodian at the high school, Beth Soria as paraeducator at the elementary school. We have recommendations for Kathy Spooner as a cafeteria worker at the high school, Shelby Fettig as corporation bus driver, and Emma Crawford as the deputy treasurer. A medical leave of absence for Cynthia McLay as the cafeteria worker at the middle school. For our ECA staff, we have the resignations of Taylor Hurd and Denise Harris as soccer head and assistant coaches, Nick Comer as the softball head coach, and a recommendation for Joe Gosnell as the interim softball head coach. Okay, this time, Superintendent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, first of all, I would like to welcome Emma Crawford to our building. She is our new corporation deputy treasurer. She and Brooke are busy doing payroll because we think our teachers might like to get paid. So that has to be in by Wednesday. So they are really working hard to get all that together. And Emma is doing a great job, and she's going to be a quick learner, we think, and certainly glad to have her on board. Did want to quickly talk a little bit about ADM. We just have these numbers in, so I wanted to make sure that we'll share a little bit more information about these, but we did finalize this yesterday. So right now, fall ADM 1389, and then our spring ADM was 1384, so a difference of 5 students. So we will share more about move-ins, move-outs, all those kinds of things that happen at the semester. And we'll share that information with you as we get it into our office. The Inferno floor. We asked the kids what floor they liked the most. And the current front runner is this. And so, as you notice, again, heavy on the blue. That's Blue Devils, so that makes good sense. And then we did. From the last one that we had, I did ask for them to make the Blue Devils a little bit bigger on the floor, and then also the white outline on the black lettering a little bit wider, just because I thought it'd make it stand out a little bit more. Nothing is finalized yet. I do have a sample of floor stain, and he's going to get me 2 more samples. So once I get that, I'll have you guys come in and take a look. The one that he gave us was a little light, I thought. Probably might would be a little bit darker than that. So we want to try to finalize this relatively soon, so that we're going to be on our timeline. So that's that.
How close? I know right now from my computer screens, even up here, the Blue Devil blue on the face of the mascot, and then kind of looks navy on my screen versus more blue here.
Mhm.
And then what's the actual difference between the blue on the mascot and then on the E and the Blue Devil compared to the blue on the floor?
The blue in the E and the blue in the Blue Devil is the actual Tipton blue color. It's a little bit darker on. So that's, and again, these are all, these can all be tweaked. We can talk about that. I mean, these are just renderings that they've taken from us. So we can work on shades and colors and different things like that. But yes, you are correct. I mean, the E and the Blue Devil face, I believe, are the same color of blue. Although I'm not probably the best person to ask. Okay. You all have a hard copy of this utility analysis. You might remember a few weeks ago, Arash Habibi came in from Verigy to talk a little bit about our solar panels, talk a little bit about our energy consumption. So honestly, there's a lot of really good news in this report. Our current Tipton High School is 96% efficient, and they would get a 96% Energy Star performance rating, which again, if you're 80% or higher, that's considered to be that Energy Star performance level. So essentially what they're doing is they're taking all of the electricity, gas that we use to power our buildings, dividing it by square footage and coming up with these numbers. There's a lot of detail in this whole process. And if you have a chance to go through this and you want to ask some questions, you can certainly let me know. I'm not sure how good I would be at answering them, but I could answer some of them, but not to the level that maybe Arash would be able to answer them. So you'll notice on the first page here, we have the cost of energy by building. And so essentially, would only make sense, and this is just based on the different meters that we have. So we have one meter that pretty much takes care of the middle school, elementary. We have one meter that pretty much takes care of the high school. And then there's obviously one in the bus garage, but we're kind of ignoring the bus garage because, I mean, it's not going to be the most efficient building on the planet. So anyway, so the idea, obviously, in dollars and cents, we're paying a lot more in utilities, gas and electric, in the middle school, elementary, and then obviously Tipton High School. So at the tune of about $220,000 a year for the middle school, elementary, and then $147,000 for the high school. If you want to flip to the next page, This graph, the orange in the graph is our solar use. And then the blue is the actual electricity that we use. So as we would think, we obviously have the highest level of use in the warmer months, longer days. And obviously when you look at December and January, it does diminish quite a bit. As far as natural gas, how that works, obviously it makes perfect sense. This is the kind of thing that you want to see. The engineer that wrote this up said that is the perfect curve. So he thought that was just pretty darn awesome. And then again, that whole 96% Energy Star rating, which is great. If you want to flip on to the next page. This is essentially the elementary and middle school. Again, the electric consumption. We kind of feel like we had a lot higher electrical consumption because of the renovation this year, and because he said that this didn't look right, and he was trying to ask us why the graph looked like this, and the only thing that we really could come up with is we were using a lot of electricity for the building project, which would only, again, make sense. So, and then how much the solar array assists us, and then what we have to purchase off of the grid. Again, natural gas is beautiful. The elementary middle school was an 86% Energy Star rating. We really feel like with the new chiller in the elementary, that will look a whole lot better in another year. If you want to flip over to the bus garage, obviously the bus garage is pretty much, it's just going to be all over the place. I mean, it's not air conditioned, but it is heated. So again, it's kind of outside of the norm. And so not really going to get a whole lot of data from that. If you want to flip to the very back page, I think this is probably interesting down at the bottom. So if you notice under rate D, which is the rate we're going to change to this year, so they're guessing on our usage from this past year that we'll go up about $15,000 a year, and then the next year it'll be $36,000, and then the year after that $78,000. So the one thing that they're going to check on is currently our solar array feeds directly into our electric meter. And they are wondering if it would be better for the solar array to actually come straight into the buildings for more efficiency. So this is just something we'll look at. We'll have to make some decisions. Their concern is that it could, since we're having to pay for peak, that it could really impact us negatively if our solar arrays are feeding into the meter first. So essentially, we would still have to pay that higher demand level, and it wouldn't be offset by our solar array. So again, they're going to come back on Monday. If anyone would like to come and join us, they talk about a lot of things I don't understand. So you're welcome to come join us if you want to know. Again, I think they're coming at 9 o'clock. They're going to walk around and just kind of do some spot checking and just kind of they're going to check out the whole meter process. And I think they're scheduling a meeting with the Tipton utility to have that discussion. So, okay. TMS renovation. This is the hospitality room and our new teacher's lounge with new casework. The furniture is the same, but the casework is all different. New flooring, paint, it's great. This is the other side. The renovation on Pod 1 in the middle school is moving ahead of schedule, which we're always happy to hear. So we think we might actually be able to move into those rooms by the end of this month. So they're planning to do carpeting, ceiling next week. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. And then this is the multi-use classroom. The classroom on the other side was this is just a general classroom. So we have two general classrooms, collaboration room, and the multi-use room. The multi-use room and collaboration rooms are big rooms. This is the Hall of Fame with wall knocked out. So it is coming along well. We've taken out the trophy case, which will actually be the entrance into the Hall of Fame. So that's moving along fairly well. We're getting walls up in the new administrative areas. To the left is the new clinic. And then to the right is the reception area as you'd be walking into the office. And then this is the administrative principal's offices. So the athletic director, principal, treasurer, all those people would have these offices along this wall. And we are very excited tonight. And actually, that's my tell me something good part is I'm very excited to be able to do a monthly opportunity to share some great things that go on in our corporation every day and to celebrate our great achievements. So this is going to be a monthly award. It's going to honor students and staff who exemplify hard work, dedication, and achievement, selected by administration, board, and staff. So if anybody has a recommendation, you can definitely send us an email, and I'll be glad to look at those. And then the reason why we're calling it the Blue Future Award is because we're excited and we're in the future business here at Tipton, and we believe that we can create a bright blue future for all of our students. And we're just very excited to be able to offer an opportunity like this. So I'm going to ask the principals to come up, and they're going to announce their student names. And if they would come up here, that would be great. And then we would love to get a picture of you.
Good evening, everyone. How we all doing? I'm excited to be the inaugural Blue Future Award presenter, I suppose. And so I am here tonight, actually, and if they want to come on up now at this point, I am presenting about our TMX Vex robotic. Yeah, come on up. Come on up. This is about you. It's not about me. So they're a little nervous. So let's give them a round of applause for it. Okay, because we're going to have a great night. So I am presenting tonight the TMX Vex IQ robotics team. This team is headed by Marley Light and Michael Vittorio. Mrs. Light calculated today that she has been coaching the team for 5 years, and Mr. Vittorio has been coaching for 7 years, right? And so it's a very fun little group of people. There are actually 6 kids who are on the team, but only 2 of them were able to be here tonight. A couple of swim meets kept them, and of course it's February, so a couple of them were at home throwing up today. So yeah, unfortunately. So but the all of the members of the team, and I'll present who we have here. We've got Jude Rockwell, and we also have Ryan Hare. We also have Luke Walker, Liam Benefill, Jacob Adams, and Dean Biederman, who are the members of our TMS Vex IQ Robotics. So one thing I wanted to point out that's really, really excited about this group is that TMS is not the only school that has a robotics team. The high school also has a robotics team. The one reason I think that that's a really cool thing is because this is kind of where that team begins, and a lot of the kids stay on the team throughout both of the schools that they're in. And that high school team also actually recently won an award at a competition that they were at. So kind of cool to see that we have a vertical alignment that's going on here. One of the reasons I wanted to also make sure that we honored this team here tonight is because this team recently won an award, okay? They headed down to Heritage Christian and participated in a competition with 33 other schools. They got 11th place in that competition. There were a lot of schools. I mean, obviously Heritage Christian, you've got a lot of schools around Indianapolis, schools in Hamilton County. So the fact that this small team of 6 kiddos headed by these wonderful 2 staff members were placing in that top third of schools is a really, really big deal. So I guess without further ado, I'd love to present our TMS Vex IQ Robotics team and congratulating them for representing the TMS Blue Devils for their Blue Future Award. So.
Yeah, we'd love to take a picture over there.
Oh, that's right. And they have a presentation. They had something they want to share, right? Oh, yes. No, never mind. Never mind. I'm sure that they'd love not to actually talk about it. They're a little bit nervous. So. Sure.
Front of the vision statement.
They'll be my am. I am my parents, unfortunately. God love them. So. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You don't have to transition.
These fine gentlemen over here are Blue Devil Wrestling team. They've had an outstanding season. When Dr. Glason sent out the email looking for someone to kind of celebrate for the work they're doing, Coach Moats and Coach Nudemaker like jumped right to the top of my list. I went and saw some matches last year, and you could see because that's when they'd taken over that they were doing the work and like putting it in. But there was just a dramatic change in the product they were putting out in the wrestling meets. Just in the regular season. Then we got the state tournament time. Had the luxury to go watch them, perform at sectionals, and they were all just kind of whooping up on everybody at that place. I think if we kept track of nosebleeds, I'm pretty sure our wrestlers caused at least 15 of those at the sectional. But then we had guys move on to regionals and then eventually semi-state. So I'm going to go through kind of where they did, and I hope I don't screw this up too much, Coach. But we had Zane Emberton in the 106-pound class. He advanced to semi-state, finished second at regional. In the 165 weight class, we had William Wolford that finished fourth at sectional and advanced to semi-state. And then Branson Atkins also advanced to semi-state and finished second at sectional and then second at regional. And then Carson Garst was actually an alternate for semi-state, and he got the call up to perform. So we ended up having 4 wrestlers last Saturday represent THS at semi-state. And I'd say the matches, they didn't go how we wanted them to, but you could tell that we're primed for a pretty bright blue future going into next season. So I also want to point out the jump from their dual record, which was 8-20 last year, and then we've made the jump to 19-7 in dual. So I mean. So these guys finished 5th place as a team in sectionals out of 10, 7th place in regionals out of 15, and I've already mentioned the dual record thing. And then not with us today is Emerson Atkins, but she participated in girls state and actually made it to the ticket round of semi-state at Muncie Central. So and she's only a freshman, so I mean she's got some room to grow there as well. So when we talk about a blue future and the work these guys are putting it in, and I think there's going to be some good things. Might be recognizing them again next year. So,
All right.
wrestling team.
Okay. Yes.
You know, that record change is amazing, and Adam and Jeremy are standout athletes, and
Yeah.
they're, Tipton graduates, and that's just so neat to see them giving back to the rest of the program.
I love it, and I just think it's great, and just doing a super job. Yep.
Okay, at this time, we'd like to invite Mr. Bales to come up and present about the 8th grade Washington DC trip.
Hey, good evening. So, first of all, that's awesome. I'm gonna tell you, that's awesome. So, congratulate all of them. So I know they've probably taken off, but that's awesome to see. This is my 3rd year getting to present this. This is awesome as well. I'm so excited about it. Obviously, here in about not that I have a countdown in my room or anything, but 57 days, I've got my 2nd group getting ready to go. So, really excited about Washington DC trip and the things that we're doing with that. And more importantly, I'm really excited about the excitement it brings. The kids really look forward to it. Even our parents are really excited for it. So, I've started working on 2025 already, and it'll be here before you know it. But did you guys get a copy of this? Okay, I want to make sure I had extra copies. We are going through a little bit of a change with companies. Obviously, pricing and things like that got a little bit higher as it went along, and the company we use currently, which is World Strides, they're fantastic. They've done a great job, but they've got to get their costs as well. So we started looking a little at some other companies, and after a lot of, I do mean a lot of time and effort in looking at this, we are looking to use Classic Tours. Classic Tours is located here in Indiana. It's Auburn, Indiana. It's the same one that Hamilton Heights and a lot of schools in the state of Indiana use. So I'm excited about going and working with them. Also nervous because I know World Strides has done a great job with our trip the last couple of years. So, so we're excited to see what it offers. But in front of you, you kind of see the cost, which is $987. That includes everything: food, room, travel, everything. And I've really worked. I'm gonna toot my own horn, tirelessly trying to
Hey,
get all this
I'll
together.
attest
So,
to that. I've received several phone calls from Mr. Bales over the last couple months, really. I mean, you started working on this a long time ago. Just him talking to me just as a sounding board, and the amount of work and time that you've put into this is incredible. So our kiddos are fortunate to have you. So
I appreciate that very much. On there, you'll see the prices. It also includes not only students, but parents if they want to go. It's all based upon room occupancy and all the stuff that goes with that. Plus, it involves busing. They have to have 35 people per bus in order to have a full bus to meet their cost as well. So there's a lot of question marks and things that go along with that that will be answered as time goes along and as we get people signing up. But I am planning to hold a parent meeting on February 21st in the middle school library, just for questions, to introduce things, any and everything that they have to ask. So, and quite frankly, with the new company, I'm learning what their kind of, their methods are. But again, I've heard nothing but good things from the local schools. Try to do a lot of homework and make sure we give the best opportunity for our students. Because again, when I took this the first year, the goal was to bring it back, and then now it's become something where I want to get the community proud and something that it's kind of a highlight of their middle school years before they enter the high school world. So I'm very appreciative of you guys supporting me on this, and more importantly, I'm supportive. I'm very excited about my staff and my administration and our community getting behind this as well. There's been so many groups in this community who've reached out, asked, hey, how can we help? So again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But I want to make sure I put all this out there. The information's all right here. Like I said, we'll leave April 9th, which is not on Easter. I learned that last year. Easter weekend got me in trouble at home. So there is that aspect. But April 9th, we'll leave Wednesday evening, and we'll return early Sunday morning. So again, very excited about that. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
I will say the Classic is my wife this trip as a teacher several years, and that's who she always went with. It's a really very reputable group, and she would highly recommend.
Awesome. Thank you.
Included in your packet were our department reports. Does anyone have any questions about those? Okay, and we'll move on to our financial report with you acting as Brooke.
Yes, I'm Brooke tonight. This is kind of a brief financial report this really discussing cash balances. Education fund, we have 930,000. Debt service, 240,000. Operations, 1.1 million. And then rainy day, 2.2 million. We do anticipate a little bit of a hit to our cash balance in education as March is a 3-pay month, and they always drain our resources a bit. But I feel like we're in great shape and moving forward very well.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to some old business that we have. Tonight, we need to approve the revision of the 2024-2025 academic calendar to align with CASIC. Western School Corporation is the local education agency for the Kokomo Area Special Education Cooperative. Early this year, Western School Corporation moved up their spring break time frame to the last full week of March for the 2024 to 2025 academic year. This presents a significant problem since students would be without some special education services for up to 2 weeks. In order to maintain needed services for our students, we are recommending a change to our spring break from March 27th to April 3rd, 2025 to March 20th through March 27th, 2025. This change will have an impact on how we handle snow makeup days due to state standardized testing schedules.
I did look up Heinz spring break. They do have an overlap. They do a balanced calendar. So last week in March, first week in April is their spring break.
Need a motion and a second to approve the revision of this academic calendar.
I'd move to revise the 2024-25 academic calendar to align with the CASAC schedule.
Second.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Under new business, tonight we need to approve to advertise for mowing bids. Permission is being asked to advertise for mowing bids. This would be done in time for the 2024 mowing season and would be a 2-year contract. Bids would be approved at the March board meeting. It is recommended that the board give permission to advertise for mowing bids for the 2024 and 2025 mowing seasons. Need a motion and a second?
I move to approve for the advertising of mowing bids.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I will say that the overall bid will probably be about the same, but I did reconfigure the sections. So it may look like, oh gosh, section 1's a lot more than what it was last year. Well, it's probably because I added more to it. I just wanted to make sure the way we had it set up before didn't make a lot of sense to me. So I tried to make it in blocks. So shouldn't be a huge difference in overall cost, but it may be by parcel. So.
Next, we need to approve to advertise for additional appropriation for the rainy day and operation fund. We are asking for permission to advertise 2 additional appropriations of $325,000 from the rainy day fund and $83,380 from the operation fund. The appropriation out of rainy day will fund renovations to the Inferno that will be reimbursed by sponsors and donors through the Friends of the Inferno Capital Campaign. The $83,380 appropriation from the operation fund allows the board to spend excess funds from the retired 2012 and 2013 bond issuance on a capital improvements for the Tipton Middle School and Tipton High School Phase 2 projects. It is recommended the board approve the advertisement of the additional appropriations. I need a motion and a second.
I'd move to advertise for an additional appropriation from both the rainy day fund and the operating fund.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we need to approve the cancellation of stale checks. According to IC 51110.5-2, all warrants or checks outstanding and unpaid for a period of 2 or more years as of December 31 of each year shall be declared void. The list of checks is in your board packet and will be canceled upon approval. Need a motion and a second to cancel the stale check.
I move to cancel the stale checks as stated.
Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Okay, we do have one other matter to come before the board. Our food service contract is up this year. We will begin the process of developing a request for proposals the end of this month for approval in March. Attached is the process for procuring a contract with a food service company. Say about that?
Just it is a process. What we'll ask you is to approve just our request for proposals. And then depending on how many we get, then we would need to make a decision on who the successful bidder would be. Okay? And that outlines the whole process. It's pretty straightforward. I will go on record saying that we're very pleased with Aramark. I mean, they do a fantastic job. So we're hoping that will work out where they will continue to be our successful bidder. So
Do we take bids? Is there a committee or is that superintendent? Like who
we would
evaluates?
probably do an executive session to kind of go through some of that, just to go through the bid process, and then we would have a vote.
Is that a multi-year agreement then?
Yes, 5 years. Is that right? Yeah, 4 renewals. Yeah,
Okay.
and it is renewed annually, but we typically it's a 5-year.
Does anyone else have anything else to bring before the board? Okay. Our upcoming advisory committees on February 19th, we will have the Personnel, Business, and Business Affairs. March 18th is Student Achievement, and on April 15th will be the Branding and Public Relations. Other parts of our schedule of events, on February 19th will be President's Day, and school will be in session. February 22nd will be the Wellness Committee meeting at 3:30. February 22nd is also I Read 3 parent meeting. On March 10th, we'll have daylight savings time that will start. And on March 12th is our next monthly board meeting. So next, I need a motion and a second to adjourn our meeting.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Have a good evening. Thank you for joining us.